Okay, on this example, I wanted to show you what to do if there's absolute values on both sides of the equation. We won't give you anything too complicated. We're not going to have absolute value of something and then have a added 5 tacked onto it and then have an absolute value on the other side of the equation. That's a little too complicated for this class. So it'll just be absolute value of something equals absolute value of something. Okay? Now, I did almost the exact same example that I did on the previous page or the previous video because I wanted to show you what the absolute values on the right does. It only does one thing, and that is it takes situations where you had to cross off an answer because it didn't work, and some of those will actually work. That's really all it does. So it's in standard form. So I'm just doing what I did before. The left-hand side, I leave the same and drop the absolute value. And the right side, drop the absolute value, right? Then the second one, I leave the left the same and I change the signs on the right. It's exactly what we did before. I left this left side the same, right? This is the same. This is the same as this. And this is the opposite of this. Just like before. So don't let the extra absolute values bother you. This really only comes in at the very end when you're checking answers. Okay, so again, I subtracted the x over 2 from both sides. And I subtracted the 1 from both sides. And then I multiplied both sides by 2, or just cross-multiplied the 2. Okay, added x to both sides and added 3 to both sides. Cross-multiply 4/3. Check. The negative 1/8. Plug them in. I get that. I get that. I get 7. And then the right-hand side was absolute value. See, before it was just negative 8 plus 1. Now it's absolute value of negative 8 plus 1. And that gives us absolute value of negative 7. And that gives us a 7. Those two are the same. So now negative 8 works. It didn't work on the previous video, right? Okay, now we're going to try 4/3. Okay, this is the left side of the original equation. Get negative 7/3, absolute value of 7/3. And the right side is absolute value of this, and this doesn't actually matter because it's already positive. So here we didn't need the absolute value to make this work. The left one we did because it came out negative otherwise, right? So those are the same. So now I've got 2 answers instead of just 1. That's the difference. So go back and look at the previous video and you'll see it's exactly the same except there's no absolute values on the right. So that's it for the regular section videos. I'm going to do 2 more that are just a couple problems students asked me about, so I wrote them up for them.